Hello guys, and welcome back to Strategic Command World War II World at War with our first ever PvP against SirTravis, who's playing as the Allies. We're currently in 1940, I believe August now, after we watch this replay, that is. And setting up the attack on Malta, we're getting rid of the supply at the ports, and I've heard he apparently did something potentially aggressive in China. And there's also maybe some other things to talk about. So, interesting that he's moving that. Oh my god, dude, he is so keen to find, like, ships of mine. He's putting so much effort into patrolling. It's crazy. What were you doing there, bro? Oh my god, he wants to kill that thing so bad. Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. Okay, he's just completely giving up Nanning. Holy shit. Oh my god. Wow, that's already so much to talk about. Holy sh... Oh. You know, I think he told me yesterday, I can't wait to see what your narration on this episode is gonna be like. That's my fucking narration. Let's see. Raiding that Sudan-UK line, K, and Canada-UK, cool. Suez Canal limits supply in Abyssinia, yeah. Malta and Mediterranean, yeah, we're preparing for that. Germany advised to respect U.S. Monroe Doctrine. U.S. Secretary of State has communicated to us the following statement through the American Charge d'Affaires in Berlin. The U.S. government will not recognize any transfer of a geographical region of the Western Hemisphere from one non-American power to another non-American power, and that it would not acquiesce in any attempt to undertake such transfer. Recommendation: respect of the Monroe Doctrine and U.S. influence over the Americas may mutually keep the United States out of our own European affairs. Not really. Not really. Funny thing about that. While that's what America actually kind of wanted to do, and Americans, our president at the time was very much not a fan of that. But, holy fucking shit, I cannot. Okay, we have to talk, guys. First off. Okay. So, he is advancing with this core. The moment I moved away, he's like, it's free real estate. He's like, all right, I'm gonna move up. You gave up these spots. Well, now I'm taking these spots. They're my spots now. And that's what he did, which is actually not that great, because I didn't really leave anything over here, because I didn't think he'd immediately be aggressive. Because I can plug this in immediately, and honestly, if I just let him come in a certain amount, he's past the mountains, and he won't have anywhere to retreat, so I'll consider what my best option is here. He's moved everything forward. Fucking everything. Core, army, core. He just moved 4 fucking units forward. And I don't have anything set up, but filling in would be really easy. It's not exactly an ideal situation, but it's something that a little bit of force marching can kind of fix up easily. And also, something that could get me a lot of kills of Chinese units that are going way past their fucking supply lines. Very easy kills. Which I'm sure he would consider just having the conflict, based on my speaking with him. He'd consider just having the conflict and getting any kills at all to be a positive thing. So, you know, in the eye of the beholder, right? But what is very clearly amazing for me is that I was setting up over a big fight here. I thought it would take at least another maybe turn or two to take Nanning and complete my big goal of securing the rail line early. But he's just handed it to me. Now, while this situation up here is unfortunate, and I didn't think he'd be so fucking aggressive here, I really actually hope he stays aggressive. So I'm trying to balance in my head, how much should I reinforce this area in order to keep him committed? I want him to step further into this because he has such limited MPPs in a way that Japan doesn't. He needs to be staying on the defensive wherever he cannot make substantial progress. And this is not an area where he could easily make substantial progress. And so I was gonna say, oh, well, this is an easy fix. You know, I just move the other army back in, and then he really can't do anything. If I just force march this up here, he's not going anywhere around here. He's gonna have zones of control getting in his way, and any attempt is just gonna have him crashed down on. But I may send cores instead to make it look like a more tempting target, because this would allow me to exploit the fact that he has given up this area. Now, I can already exploit it by just stepping on the spot, you know, like, oh, it's really that simple, right? And it kind of is. But it's even more in-depth than that. So this Korean army can only get this far anyway, so let's just step forward and take Nanning. It's more in-depth than that, because all these units, sure, they've given up this area. It's mine. My goal is accomplished. However, they're not entrenched. They're running back to entrenchments, funny enough. Does he have an engineer back there, or was this already all here? That would be incredibly fast to set up, but he is not currently entrenched, and he can't really settle down perfectly easy in the wake of how much manpower I have down here. Take Chungking, and this will hurt him a fair bit. Take Chungking, and that is one of the objectives I need for a lot of my victory conditions, namely the decisive victory condition. I don't need Lanchao. I don't need Uramuchi. I only need Chungking to win in China in the long run to win the game. Also, random little note, I don't know what this is, but for some reason when I'm hovering over these, if you look at the top right, one of the little symbols for my guys starts flashing when I'm hovering over this completely different terrain here. It just flashes if it's specifically underneath this. That's weird. That distracted the living hell out of me. Let's move forward. The 21st Army. Oh my god, he has been setting up extras. Some of these were already here, I know that, but he has been setting up fortifications. He just left this one right here for me. Thank you very much. Yeah, that didn't really get away now, did it? So that's a dead enemy core. That already is amazing, and I need to take further advantage of this, clearly. One thing I gotta remember is Travis doesn't think like I do, so he might ignore whether it's a core or an army, and instead, if I send a couple cores up here, the magically appearing cores via rail line might be more intimidating to him than just marching this one back up and leaving it a little bit vulnerable. So I think that's what I'll do, actually, is I'll just move it back, because he might take that as more of a sign of weakness than cores, even if it's not. That's my thought anyway. The one thing I do want to maximize still, even if this makes him retreat again, is damage. So we're going to move the second Kwantung army up, and we can see we could blitz attack this for 4 damage, only take 1 on a pretty inexperienced unit. That is pretty good to me, and I think I'd be happy with it. I could also just wait as well. I'm not sure. I think whether I take 1 damage or like whatever, I don't think he's really going to consider his own damage, and he's going to immediately consider it to be a win on his part based on the conversations I've had with him. So let's just attack and see what happens. 4 damage dealt, none taken. Wow, okay, that worked out even better than I would have hoped. Well, in that case, we'll force march the 37th Army back to where it was. Its morale will be a little low, but it's elite, and it's going to be in a town. It's fine. We'll move the second Kwantung over here so it's hidden behind the river from him, and then I think I'll do a thing. You know, I want him to see the movement, so he's encouraged to strike out and abandon entrenchments further, especially if it's disorganized and reactionary. So I think what I'll do here is maybe like lure him in like it's a battlefield, right? So put infantry weapons on this garrison. Maybe he'll consider cutting this rail line to be somehow important. Now this relies on him not seeing this rail line right here, right? Because this completely negates this one. But I've learned by playing this with him this far, is very short-term oriented. He focuses on short-term gain over anything else. If he moves this far in, he's dead. So let's see here. I think I'll move this core Let's say right here. Yeah. It encourages him to step up and try to seize this rail line, even though it's not important and I can't use it anyway. It allows him to think he might get a victory that I, based on experience of speaking to him, would believe he'd consider a victory, and that would allow him to be easier to attack. If he steps over here, if he even can, I don't know if he can, +2 movement cost, zone of control. I don't know if he'll be able to make it over here. That would be even funnier though. He'd still be dead. And I would gladly take a couple more units off of him. This core will not really be needed down here as a result of all of this. So we're just gonna force march it over here. Basically leaving this open to see if he reacts to it. Because if he moves forward, then he won't be covering that. Oh, here's the thing, I moved it right there. There's a partisan there. There's only a core that could ever hope to sneak through here anyway. Partisan, speaking of, let's move this right here to cover those 2 partisan points a little more accurately. And without spending any MPPs, I've dealt 4 damage to him up here. I've... You know what's so funny? He messaged me when he did this and said, I don't know if I'm stepping into a trap. Fuck it. And then he did it. But now it really is a trap. Now I see what he wants. This is what he wants to do. And it might be short term. I don't really know. But if I can make it more appetizing to him, while setting up the ability to wipe out at least one of his cores, I'll trade some army damage for that. Replacing cores and taking a couple damage points on armies are very different things, especially when I have more MPPs in the long run here. I'll take it. That would be a huge victory for me on a front that he was so defensive, as he should have been, that I couldn't hurt him at all, and it was just tying up armies. Just a simple movement was all it took for him to commit 3 cores in an army to a fight he can't win, and that's awesome. Oh yeah, there's something I want to discuss about traps real quick. He suspects that I have a trap either in Africa, which may be why his advance here has slowed down. Maybe he considers this to be a trap somehow. But he's still sitting here, look. He's probably over here and over here, making sure I can't get out of here. He definitely wants to just cut this off from the sea, which is smart, but I've already given it up anyway. That was part of my plan. He has commented on this to me, finally. He has acknowledged this light cruiser here and told me he has and is considering coming over here and attacking this. Now, he only referenced this one and not these, which is weird because he should see them. So it's weird that he only commented on this one, but I've used the sea lion as a bit of a way to try to keep him away from it, because I said something to the effect of, yeah, sail your fleet down and away from the Isles, which he still very clearly thinks I'm doing a sea lion. He's sending subs through here now. After initially looking for subs, he's now screening with them to find amphibious transports. 2 more turns until this is at 1. That is all I need to begin bombarding, because the lowest we could ever maintain Valletta down is 1, and that can be accomplished in 1 turn with battleship bombardments. And once I start that, everything will be in such close range. If he tries to engage, he will initiate a massive naval battle right next to Malta with a ton of German bombers gathering around it. So that's what I have to tell you about traps. Now let's look at more at this again. So we have, this core is probably the most vulnerable to me right now, but these mountains are very clearly in my way. I only planned to go for Nanning, secure the rail line, and then reconsider my options. It's actually all I really planned to do, but his complete retreat from here has made this a much more attractive endeavor. We could acquire a mine, we could get Kwei Chao, Kunming, Wanting, these are very important, and open up the ass end of Burma. And also, I think one of these might help to cut off the Burma road, and that might just be Rangoon. Well, I guess all of this kind of comprises the Burma road. Still, this is a very logistically important place for him, and he's encouraging me to go deeper into it, and I can react to anything up here. If he doesn't maintain a defense down here, it's not going to be very good for him. So let's see what we could do, actually. Let's take this medium bomber and let's go ahead and bomb this enemy core. We dealt 1 damage, we took none, that's a good sign. We could send a lot of things forward. A lot, yeah. I'll move the North Chinese Front Army all the way to the front here, into the pass. Alright, so unfortunately it only has, like, the NRG core. What does that mean? I don't know. But this thing is not gonna die this turn. We don't have the maneuverability to just go around killing these. He's abandoned his fortifications here too, which is really, really interesting. Well, we'll see what we could do in terms of max damage to this one unit. Let's go ahead and tactical bomb it, dealing 1 damage only, unfortunately. But hey, we just got some more XP. That's nice. And then at that point, all that's left to really do is attack it with the North Chinese Front Army, dealing 5 damage, which is more than we were supposed to. And then almost opening up the way to push even further, but unfortunately zones of control are going to slow that down, along with like the hills. I guess it's going to become a dual-pronged offensive then, because I need to kind of like spread out, and he's retreated here, so he's going to be kind of open. So let's go ahead and do that. We have 4 armies here. We have 1, 2, 3 right here. That's not perfect math, but there's additional cores here that can be spread out, so it's fine. Besides the mountain paths we're talking about. Let's go ahead and move the 13th Army forward and claim these fortifications. And by claim, what I really mean is delete them off the map. Unfortunately, this is a very entrenched unit, but with very low supply, moving up could be worthwhile. Yeah, his supply here sucks. Doesn't matter what his strategy is. If I set up and prepare attacks and move my HQs forward, he could not defend all this without making something else simply not work. He doesn't have the MPPs to manage this. I know, I've played this country before. So, supply here is already fine. So let's just move up. Oh wow, that one's pretty injured. Move up. This one's not really very entrenched. OSS Volunteer 2. How many of these? I feel like I've killed these already, you know, but there's more. It's incredible. And then we're gonna start moving some things. This HQ will move on to Changsha. I'm not too worried about him. Like, he can't move into a fucking river. And he's not gonna drive this army away and then reach my HQ. This really, really buffs supply here a amazing amount. I need to move the Umezu all the way back up to Henyang now or something. So I was gonna just swap out who's commanding this, but at this point it's like, why bother? I can still maybe swap out Okamura. Or better yet, Umezu could get moving to Guilin, and like have them on Guilin and Nanning. And then one of them just kind of moves forward, the other one's up here, one's in the back, kinda. I feel like that would be good, but I feel like Henyang's more in the middle. These are both in the middle. Either way, they'll both take 2 turns to reach. And I could, you know what's so funny, actually, I'm realizing, depending on how I move things around, I could probably piggyback this into position by swapping locations. I'll refrain from doing that for right now. It's not really that important. One of these cores is going to be moving up. I've already moved it up slightly. Only took 1 action point just to kind of get it further up here where it can help on this front. Don't know where it really needs to be very helpful. But I'll put it somewhere where it can, like, swap in case he goes on the offensive or something. Is this asleep? Why is it asleep? What the fuck? I don't understand. Me no el comprehende. Dora? And then, as this all pushes up, I do want to leave 1 core in the rear here, where it can defend Pakoi just in case until Pakoi has served its purpose. Now, that's actually maybe not very important. So, we'll just move it up a touch. This one, maybe. Put it right here so we can at least reinforce next turn. And then this one will go up north to help with all of that stuff. So let's say right here. Might as well leave them where we more likely need them, right? And that's where we're killing a ton of Chinese and making tons of progress. I imagine this front line's gonna move up pretty quickly, so let's see here. I will take this boy right here, and we're gonna move him. I don't know if this is a smart place to move him, really. Realistically, it's probably not, because it's set to have 5, right? Okay, we'll tell you what then, actually. We'll move it here for right now. And then we'll move this up here. And what does that show? Okay, still good. So, I mean, this guy is not going to have a lot of supply where he is. Although I'm going to leave this guy in the back, actually. Because we still need a core somewhere in the rear to go step on Hong Kong once that opens. And so just leaving him at Canton seems to be a good idea to me. So right now there's like one core dedicated to this. There's 2 up here, but there's 1 less army here. That kind of makes up for it, right? Move these medium bombers forward southwest into a more useful location. These fighters are still in a perfect place to escort and to intercept where I need them to escort and intercept, and our ability to control more units down here has not gone up yet. Let's try to inspire the fear of God into him. Let's go ahead and do a blitz attack on the OSS Volunteer Corps 2. We dealt 3 damage and took none. Holy shit. Wow. And we went up to level 3 XP. That's crazy. Already? Additionally, we'll take the 34th Army here, who has, I think, better odds. But watch something go wrong. 2 damage dealt. Okay, no damage taken. I expected something to go wrong, to be honest. 2 more damage dealt. This one is going to have to run away. It's on the verge of death. This one, he might try to dig in with, but with the bombers here, even though it's not a lot of bombers, it's enough to make the difference where I need to make a difference. Swapping in and out these super elite armies as well, super easy difference to make. He's on the retreat and he's not fully entrenched. I don't know how he's gonna make any kind of defensive line here. Like, he's gonna try to hide here. Okay, I'm advancing here now. What are you gonna do about it, you know? Our 3 Nanjing Chinese garrisons are done, so we're just gonna deploy them everywhere that there's an opening to deploy them. Some of them will be needed sooner, some of them will be needed later. We also have some new German things to deploy. The Prinz Eugen heavy cruiser at Stettin, Germany. I mean, this one's already upgraded, looks good to me. Just deploy that. 2nd German anti-air. We know generally where this is headed. I don't actually know where this is headed. This one's probably gonna go by Cherbourg, honestly. So we're gonna put that right there. That's done. That's good. All right, so that's all good. 2 94 MPs remaining as Japan after doing pretty much everything that we plan on doing as Japan. We've moved the DEI again, so it's 76%. I think they mobilize at like 90% or something. If we get one of those lucky ticks, then this is gonna progress no matter what. But I don't know that we'll be that lucky. For right now, I'm gonna go ahead and just put another chit into this. There you go. So we're at that 25%. Although no matter what this one ticks in at, I'm not so sure we're going to keep it above 25% anymore. If this is another like 7%, we'll be at 81. 20% sounds good for there. I'm trying to min-max MPPs a little, but get it in before we get to next spring, ideally, so we're not rushing for time. Scanning through all this research, I have a lot of options. We just finished naval weaponry, so this is freed up to go anywhere else. So definitely a lot of options to pick from. We have a lot of these warfare techs to the right that are going to permanently finish up. Like, we have infantry warfare, that's 125 permanently to be allocated elsewhere. Aerial, naval, another 200, you know. And eventually this will max out pretty quickly as well. Mobility will be a one-time thing as well. There's a lot of things I need in the future. I'm just trying to estimate like the timing of when it would be best. And for right now, I think the best thing to do is just to get some more advanced fighters researching. I do actually kind of want to go for artillery weapons. It's a one and done kind of thing. And I have an idea of where they could be really, really useful because, I'll be honest, guys, I don't care about taking Uramuchi and making China surrender. I only need Chongqing to win. I need to keep him from, like, spilling into Korea. That's it. China doesn't have to die. If I can push China back to Lanchao to the point where they're just stuck behind this, like, one road thing, even if just past Chongqing and Xi'an, that is pretty crazy, and I could free up a lot of units for more important things that I have in mind. And artillery could be a good way to really allow progress to happen here without even needing many troops. Like, we could let ourselves be kind of outnumbered, as long as we have quality here. Combine them with artillery, and they could make nice, slow progress. And we wouldn't even need to leave any of our air here either. We could focus them on more mobile fronts, maybe, if we spill into India somehow. Maybe some other places, I'm not really sure. We have a maritime bomber already in production, as well as another fighter, so those are cool. More bombers in general would be nice, but I'm trying to prioritize research right now, thinking in the long term, because like I said in the very beginning of this playthrough, this is a Japan-focused playthrough. I'm putting all my bets on Japan. Japan was the last one to surrender, so if things go terribly, they need to do the best to make sure we can maybe eke out a tactical victory here, right? Or, best case scenario, Japan is the one that has the most freedom to go wherever the fuck they want, and they can hit almost every remotely difficult to get to victory condition location that there is, with the exception of the UK, which makes them equally important, or more important, considering they also have to contend with the US Navy. Looking west, we have 3 more bombers to get south for the little thing we have going here. The straight shooter tactical bombers, which will end up in Naples right now. These medium bombers, which can end up right over here right now. It would take 1 turn to get both of them into position, and that would be in time. This one, I don't know if this medium bomber is actually going to make it in time. I don't think it is. I think it might be a little late to the party without being operated, and I'm not going to operate it from here to there. 59 MPPs would be way better spent somewhere else than having 1 more medium bomber in the region. So I'm not going to be too picky about that. We need more fucking spots to, like, put things, though. Well, there's 3 more planes, right? This is pretty obvious for a tactical bomber, and then these 2 would work for a medium bomber. They'd still all be in range, and they'd have pretty great coverage. Sicily will just be the land of German air. And you got these paratroopers who need to prepare before I forget about anything. Italy's got 2 18 MPPs, but they just got some important tech research done that needs to be exploited more than research really needs to start, given how Italy works. So ground attack for these medium bombers is a big fucking yes, because that's going to make them more effective at bombing Malta if they bomb Malta, you know. And then we have these boys all over here. 2 of them can get infantry weapons level 1. That is very, very, very important. It slows down my idea of, oh, let's run them forward. Yeah, we're not doing that right now, it would seem. That's fine. Let's move the 10th Army to the back so it can get upgrades next turn as well, because right now where it is, it doesn't actually have the best supply to be able to upgrade. Unfortunately, the supply hit from the Suez hit pretty hard right here, so we can't upgrade this. Very sad, because this seems to be where he's trying to move in from. Really don't know what he's trying to do by continuously moving up here. He's starting to just lose MPPs on his sub for seemingly no reason. But we can upgrade all these other ones. Oh, why does this one have 2? What the fuck? I guess it hit Massawa and Addis Ababa specifically. Well, that sucks, but that's also fine. I'm going to upgrade what I can upgrade down here, though, because these infantry weapons could realistically slow him down a decent bit, and they only cost like 13 MPPs each. That's really not that bad. I'll take it. It could slow him down. 115 MPPs remaining as Italy. And we haven't spent all of Japan's yet either. The UK has still only spent 150 MPPs on research, so even if he starts out with naval weaponry in the queue or anything like that, he's not going to get ahead on a lot of naval researches, so I don't need to rush Italian naval tech currently. That's not a concern. I'm going to prioritize getting in the most vital of upgrades for units right now, as well as saving up for that maritime bomber, assuming we will take Malta, right? And then also I would want to prioritize getting naval research going, maybe slightly after that, depends. He's investing a little more heavily into diplomacy. His China tech is still going, India isn't in the war yet. We have garrisons galore, so let's continue readying our fleet, our Japanese fleet, which we're not going to be able to do too much on, but with naval weaponry 2, we're already set for like optimal engagements against the American fleet, and this is pretty early on, so I'm quite happy about that. 8 MPPs remaining is Japan. Japan is definitely completely done at this point, and I'm very happy with what's happening on this front. We're making way more progress than I expected to with my limited engagement. I've been holding back to research and stuff like that, but we are out of time for this episode. There's still more to the turn. Out of time for the episode, though, so we'll finish this off on the next episode. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you on that next episode.